in, you're out, hold it flat, and then you're going to compare it directly to your chart here. When your pH and alkalinity are low, you're going to add sodium bicarbonate, also known as baking soda. It's all you can get it at any store. You can get it at a pool. It's going to be much cheaper to buy it at a pool store. Like I'm going to add like 3 pounds of baking soda right now, right in the skimmer.
Oh yeah.
We buy it in a 50-pound bag at a pool store for really. You can buy it really cheap at a pool store instead of buying. Because if you go buy Arm & Hammer, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah. The little boxes.
If you go to a pool store, they're going to try to sell you pH up and alkalinity up. It's unnecessary. It's way smaller amounts. Baking soda is the way to go. It's the cleanest way. There's no extra chemicals added to it. Put it in the skimmer. It'll pump it around the pool. You won't have to do anything. It'll stir itself up.
Okay.
Now that will bring both of these up. If your pH and alkalinity is high, so if we dip it and this is turning pink and dark blue, you're going to add acid. If both of them are high, you will add muriatic acid. Again, every pool store is going to have this. If it's only the pH is high, you're going to add sulfuric acid. One thing I tell people, if you're going to go to a pool store anyways to get your chemicals, dip a strip, put it here, take a picture of it, take it to them. They can tell you what, these same things. Okay, a gallon of muriatic, they, pinch a penny easier, less, at least they'll know. It makes it easier. Your chlorine, obviously, if it's low, you're going to bump it up on your salt cell, and you're going to want to check to make sure that your salt levels are good, because it should always produce it. It should not go low.
It's like there it said the chlorine was high, but the salt's low.
Well, the salt's not low.
Oh.
It won't shut off until it goes under 2,700, so it'll still produce it. 2,700 is perfectly fine. It's at 29 now. So it just, when the salt's low, doesn't necessarily mean the chlorine's going to be low, because the chlorine's so high right now, you could turn off your salt cell for 4 days and you would still have plenty of chlorine in the pool. Of course, it's going to rain. That's going to dilute your chlorine. It will burn off over time. That's how chlorine dissipates as it attaches to molecules, whether it be sweat, pollen, anything like that. It burns off.
So although that's 229, it's low, but the chlorine's sort of higher. It's
Right.
still good to sort of run that but low, just so it sort of balances.
Right, because this chlorine in the pool is going to burn off.
Right.
The salt is not going to burn off. So just because the salt's low, you may still have plenty of chlorine. And then there may be times that you have high salt and you have no chlorine. That is why your pH is very important. That's because if your pH gets too high, the salt cell will shut off. It can only produce within certain parameters. I've been cleaning the pools for this pool for the first 30 days. You're probably going to have to add a little bit of acid once a week, and that's it. With most salt pools, that's about the only maintenance you have to add. Now, as it's raining, you don't have to do that. You'll add a little bit of baking soda. So it's a balance. But for the most part, you're just only going to have to add muriatic acid once a week, maybe half a gallon. It is really how simple it's going to be. I'm going to explain all the other cases to you, but for the most part, that's what it will be.
And you said you put it in the skimmer?
The baking soda you put in the skimmer, and it will slowly dissolve, and you'll see it pump out of all the jets, and it'll swirl itself around. You don't have to brush it.
And the
out.
acid, where do you...
Acid, you're going to want to pour it. One thing is, you're going to want to pour it as close to the water as you can. You don't want it splashing. Muriatic acid will, it will stain the deck. It'll put little spots on it. We use it to clean driveways, to get oil. It will clean anything. 2, it will burn your skin.
Okay.
You will notice. It will feel like a fire ant bit you where one drop goes.
Okay.
Also, don't pour it over any of the sun shelf or any of the steps. You're going to want to pour it in deep water. I usually let people know, just here, start in your jet where the water's flowing.
Okay.
Pour your acid there, and then I would just run it along the back wall, as far out, hold your arms out as far out as you can, and then you're just going to want to get down to the water and pour it low, just so it to splash as little as possible with your acid. The last one is your cyanuric acid, which is considered stabilizer, which I'm going to add some today. We don't add that again for the first 30 days like the salt, and we bring that up slowly. That is also called pool stabilizer or pool conditioner, cyanuric acid. What that does is that attaches to the chlorine, and that keeps the chlorine from being burnt off by UV rays of the sun. If you don't have that, your chlorine would burn off to 0 every single day. We don't use chlorine in indoor spas because of that exact reason. It burns off, and there's nowhere for it to go, and it would gas you out. A tip: when you smell chlorine, it's kind of a myth that the chlorine's high. It actually means the exact opposite. opposite. Chlorine, if the chlorine is low, you'll start noticing the smell as you're in the pool. It'll start coming off the top. You smell like a bleach smell. Chlorine's low. You may want to check your salt cell, check your chemicals. There are other symptoms. Obviously, the clarity of the water. You should be able to see the bottom at any time. You should be able to see if it's a little. Now, with rain, you're going to every once in a while get a little bit of opaqueness until it has time to filter that out. Especially with the screen, all your pollen gets stuck on your screen. As soon as it rains, it pushes it straight into the pool. You also get more shade with the screen, so it's more likely that that happens. The good thing with the screen is it keeps all the debris out, and that's the worst thing for a pool because all your breaking down leaves and stuff turn into high pH, and it turns into those, and that's where you get most of your algae comes from organic stuff. Algae is very uncommon in salt pools. Even if the chlorine goes low, the salt, the salinity of it will most of the time not let it grow. That's another reason they went to it. Besides it's better on the skin, it's just that you're a lot less likely. It's not like these old pools where you're putting liquid jugs of chlorine, you come back in 2 days, it's green and it's all gone away. The salt keeps it very well. So, besides the chemicals, you're going to want to brush it once a week. It doesn't have to be terribly hard. It's just you just want a little bit of resistance. It is going to be normal, even for the next probably 60 days, that as you brush it and you go in the filter, you're going to find a little bit of sand of the cover of the finish coming off. It's just normal. As it wears down, it gets smoother. It'll be easier on your skin, everything like that. Just brush every surface. I mean, that's how people, the most important ones that are missed, they're the front of the steps, the front of the sun shelf. You know, everybody brushes this and then forgets to do like this side wall here, the benches, the top of the benches, the front of the spa, anywhere you can reach, including the tile line. Tile line is the number one place you're going to see like what people call a scum line or an oil line. That's mostly body oils and sunscreen. It's going to be gray and right at the edge. So people, you can either take your brush and just brush it real lightly. You can also put a little bit of, some people tend to get little tiny spots of mold right at the top of the water line on the grout, and it turns around right there. If you just take bleach spray, any kind of bleach spray, or if you just put a little bleach and water, mist it on there, you can pretty much just rinse it off. You don't even really have to brush it.
Okay.
If you do get that gray scum line around the edge from, you know, it's mostly skin cells, oils, stuff like that. Just put a tiny little bit of Dawn dish soap, a couple drops in some water, mix it up. It'll scrub right off, no problem. Missed it. Let's see here, what else? Vacuuming. So the vacuum.
Yeah, I've never used that
That's
before.
something that